Hello and welcome back to Turnbull's Threads. It's been a hot minute since I've done anything with this. So I know I said that it might be, I think I did one at the end of November, beginning of November. I was like, probably won't do one. Try and do one next month, if not, probably the month after that. It's been a little bit more than that. So there are various reasons for that. I know I mentioned in the previous video a little bit like that I might be moving because I might have a new job. I do have a new job. I have been moving. Hence, this is going to be a very different knitting crafting podcast for me because most of the stuff that I have made, I don't know where it is right now. So instead of like all of these other people who I'm watching their podcasts and they're going, oh, look at all the things I made in 2023, or these are my knitting plans, or look what I made last month. Yeah, I have none of that because I don't know where it is. I signed my final offer in November. Went home for a week and a half in December for Christmas. So I was in Louisiana. Home is my parents' house in North Carolina. So slight change in places. So when I went back to North Carolina, we knew we had a lot of stuff. So my parents were like, okay, we know we're going to be moving you. Why don't you bring at least a carload that we can keep at keep at our house, that we aren't going to have to try and move with you, and make sure it's obviously stuff you don't use all the time because it's going to get stuck in North Carolina for a while. And then whenever things cool down, you have time, you can come to North Carolina, pick up your stuff, and bring it with you to Iowa. So we did that, right? And I know a number of my knits are in North Carolina currently from last year. So I definitely will not be doing in 2023. This is what I knit in 2023 because a good chunk of the knits that I made in 2023 are actually in North Carolina. And I am not. So I did get a job. I got a job up here in Iowa. Slight change in temperature. I will be able to wear more sweaters. Yay. More knit accessories. Because it is obviously a much better place in terms of temperature for those things rather than Louisiana. But yes, I don't know where a bunch of things are. Fluffy, soft things got used as packing for all kinds of stuff. We moved in mid-January, so I was like finishing up work and things because, as I said, I'd been working on my PhD. The last of my experiments literally finished the 12th of January. So, no. Was it the 12th of January? I think it was like the 6th or 7th of January. Like the last major things were done the 6th or 7th. My last day was the 12th. I might be wrong there. I think that's right. I don't remember. It's been a very busy month. Anyways, like last day, 12th of January, the next day, these were started moving. Tried to change my address at the post office. That apparently did not work because I filled out the forms, I went in, I got them to do it in person, they scanned my driver's license, and someone somewhere decided that they were going to change the dates and were like, we're not going to have this effective, although you've written very clearly on the 16th of January that this needs to change on the 22nd of January. We're going to give it an extra month, right? We're going to move that effective date until the 13th of February. Who knew? Anyways, so tried to change my address and everything, pack everything up because I had a week to like pack. And then we were going to move to Iowa. Things happened. We tried to move out. Monday did not work. Ended up having to hire a U-Haul, repack everything that we had packed the previous weekend in the U-Haul, and finish packing all of the rest of the stuff that had been left, because we were going to make kind of 2 trips that next week. One to get the new apartment, get at least the initial stuff in, and then the next, like, go back to Louisiana and grab all the stuff and come back. Didn't work out. Ended up having to pack everything and then driving through flooding on the way north, and then hit a bunch of fog. So that moving was way more trouble than I expected. And my parents too. Like, nobody expected it to be that bad. So anyways, we got moved out. My parents were here. My mom and dad helped me move all of my stuff in, move all of the furniture in, get some of the basic stuff up and out, and then, yeah, they left. They went, peace. We gotta get back to North Carolina to do some stuff. So I have been unpacking boxes since then. Been going to work, like, cause we got here Thursday morning. We moved things in Thursday, Friday. We had something going on with some other people on Saturday. Sunday my parents left, and since then I have been unpacking boxes while starting a new job, because I started a job on Monday. So that's been fun. And yeah, so I go to work, I come home, I try and get a bit of my analysis and stuff for my PhD done, and then I unpack boxes. Happy news, I just finished unpacking the last kitchen box. By unpacking, I mean I have taken everything out, put things somewhere where they need to go, and I've been literally washing all of my dishes because they got packed with a bunch of different things, so they obviously all needed to be washed again. So my dishwasher has been going and going and going. Likewise, my laundry, like, washer and dryer, also going and going and going. I have my room somewhat unpacked. It doesn't look like a sea of boxes. Like, there's no boxes in my room anymore. Things may not be in their final place, but there are no boxes. And I know where most of my stuff is, like essential things. Clothes, belts, shoes. Like, all of those I know. Likewise, wallet, phone, and keys, because important things in life. But that still leaves the guest bedroom, which is so many boxes, and some of the stuff that was used for packing, like yarn and fabric. Yeah, I've been just throwing it in the guest room right now, so it's been, oh, look at that, that belongs in there. Look at that, that belongs in there. So we've got to go through and do a bunch of organizing. It's going to be so much fun. Yeah, I have realized that I have a ton of yarn. I have a very large stash. Granted, this stash has been built up over a number of years, right? So it's, and it's been added to by other people. Like, probably started buying some of this yarn 10 years ago, 10 plus years ago. So some of it has been in my stash for 10 or more years. And then when family members, so like my great grandmothers, they both knit. Their daughters didn't really do too much with it. Their granddaughters didn't do a ton of crafting. I've been like the main crafter kind of in the family after. So all of their yarn and like all of their old knitting needles and stuff have basically been like, would you like this? And I'm like, sure, why not? It's free crafting stuff. It's stuff I don't have to pay for. So yes, I will take it. But it means that like it's added to it and it doesn't necessarily get used up at a very rapid rate sometimes. Especially not when you're moving, because you're packing and then you're unpacking, and there's been kind of no end to both of those lately. But side note, so yeah, I have all kinds of soft squishy stuff that I need to organize. I need to figure out where I'm gonna keep it, because obviously new apartment, new layout, kind of I need to figure out how exactly I want to have everything in here. I have a bunch of wall hangings that eventually need to get put up. My list of things to do just seems to get longer and longer and longer. Yeah, so I have a bunch of stuff obviously still left to do. But happily, I found that there's actually a yarn shop in town, which is really nice. So I moved up to Ames, Iowa. And in town on Main Street, they have fairly recently they opened up a yarn shop, and I did get to go and visit that today, which was fun, because I obviously needed to get a set of sock yarn for knitting here, which, surprise, surprise, yes, I am adding to the stash, but it's also something that I know what I'm going to make with, so I don't feel as bad about it. I am going to try this year, hopefully, to add to my stash as much. I want to try and use some of it up, right? So find projects and use it up for it. But I knew what I was doing with this. I know where it's going to go. It's joining my lovely sock collection of yarns. So it's Emma's yarn that I got here. It says it's hand dyed in Florida, so it isn't an Iowa hand dyed yarn, but local yarn shop, right? And we'll see if eventually I can't find something hand dyed around here in sock yarn. I'm sure there is someone somewhere around here. The question is, will I be able to find them? Because I know there are definitely people around here who have sheep and llamas, etc. So, actually, I know someone at work who's talking about lambing, so I might eventually talk with her and be like, "Hey, what do you have wool? What do you do wool-wise, etc." Because that would be fun. Anyways, random side note. So I have another sock yarn from here. I will definitely be working on those as soon as I figure out where all of my stuff is. But in the interest, while I was there, they also had some notebooks, and one of them seemed to be something I could definitely use, especially since I moved. I don't know where everything is. I didn't actually have an inventory of what I had before. So, this. And it is called Stash Notes, and when you open it up, it has a number of things like knitting conversion, crochet hooks, knitting crochet terms, yarn weights, common knitting abbreviations. Not something that I think are going to be too useful right away for me, but it does have lovely pages that have yarn, weight of yarn, color, length, quantity, and total. And yeah, guess what I'm going to try and use in the future? Yep, we're going to try and catalog my yarn that I have. Go ahead and get an idea, actually know what I have, right? So that when I have projects coming up, or like some of it I already know what project it is. Like I have the project, I have the pattern, I have the yarn. It's just a matter of going through and knitting it. I have obviously a long set of projects like that. I have that Knitting Through the Decades project, which I think I just found the project in progress in my stuff where it got packed. I need to start out that again, but obviously those, I'm doing it decade by decade, so although, yeah, I'm not a monogamous knitter by any stretch of the imagination, and I do a number of test knits. So I have one that should be coming up soon whenever the person sends the pattern out, and then I have one that I recently applied for that I knew what yarn I was going to do with it, and it looked fun and interesting. So we have that to, like, we have yarn for that, we know where that's going, but there's definitely a good chunk of my yarn where I have some like variegated, or I have some chunky stuff that I've picked up, or with my Yarn of the Month subscription, you get 3 skeins of yarn, right? So I get 3 bundles, so about 150 grams of yarn. Different weights, a lot of different colors, and I haven't done a ton of projects with those. So I need to figure out, like, and then I've gotten several mystery boxes where I've gotten maybe a sweater's quantity, maybe not a sweater's quantity, or like between 3 or 4 boxes I might have a sweater's quantity, but I haven't actually sat down and done everything and been like, oh yeah, I have this, this, and this. I need to do that. So that is what this is for. This is to help me kind of organize that. But yeah, that's kind of the news. I know, I'm sorry this isn't going to be a great knitting video. It's more of a, I moved, I don't know where everything is. Would you like to see me organize all of my stuff? So if you are interested in actually seeing me like go through all of my yarn and well, not all of it, I think what I'm gonna do is if you're interested, I will kind of go through and show somewhat how I'm organizing it once I figure out how I'm gonna do it. I'm thinking right now the first thing to do is organize it by weight, and then, so like, is it a lace weight, is it DK, is it Aran, is it bulky? Organize it first by weight and then by fiber, and by organized by fiber, I mean first, like, is it plant or animal, because they do behave very differently. So plant, animal, and then underneath that, depending on how much I have, right? So some of this stuff, obviously I have a ton of, some of it I don't really have any of it, or I have a couple of rare balls. So organize it by weight, then organize it by fiber, and then depending on like how much of that fiber I have, right? So if I have 2 cotton and a linen hanks in lace, because I don't have a ton of it, those all would kind of go together in the same box, same area. And it might end up going with some of the other stuff, but if I have more, right, so say I have a good quantity of things, going through and separating them out, and then if I have projects, right, so I have a number of projects that I'm interested in doing that I may have already have the pattern for, like going ahead and starting to organize those into bags, right? So instead of being like, oh, I would like to do this project eventually, I need to find the yarn to do this project, and then never finding the yarn or going out and buying new yarn to actually finish the project, going through and kind of setting a yarn aside with the project and being like, this is going to be for this. I already know this is going with this, so I don't need to buy yarn for this. And hopefully that will help get my stash down. I do want to reduce my stash, both of yarn and of fabric. I need to actually I have a number of projects that I have like fabric reserved for, and then I have a bunch of scrap fabric. So some of my scrap fabric has already been used in one quilt. I would like to finish up and like get some into another quilt, probably start another quilt. Maybe do some clothes, we shall see. That will be a fun adventure, doing some more accessories, probably doing some project bags, because those, I find that I need those in my life. Because right now I'm using a bunch of drawstring, like whatever bags I have available. So having some dedicated project bags would be kind of nice. Would be a good way to use up some of my fabric. Would be a good idea overall. Thanks everyone for making me go down that rabbit hole. So since the last video, we have had 3 new subscribers. I feel so, well, yeah. Thank you actually for subscribing. This obviously has been very much for me at this point. In some ways, it's me rambling and thinking, well, going through and showing you what I've done, which is nice for me. But obviously this video has not been that. This video has been more of me rambling and trying to figure out what exactly I'm going to do in the next month or 2. If you are interested in watching me try and sort all of my yarn and fabric, feel free to leave a comment below, or if you have ideas or suggestions on how exactly I should do that, right? So, does my current way make sense? Is that something that you think would be a way to go down about it? Or do you have a better way of going about it? And then, I guess fabric also. Like, most of my cottons I think I've gone through and washed. Ready for that, but like, does anyone have any suggestions on how exactly I should organize that? Or do people have like suggestions on patterns or things that you think would be a good way to get rid of some scraps and remnants, right? So a lot of my remnants are pretty small. They're like, the majority are usually half a yard or less of a bunch of different things. So some of them I do use. I do make mantillas or veils on the side, kind of as an Etsy business that I do sell. So I have lace and stuff that is basically reserved for that, but I also have a bunch of, well, obviously I have scraps of lace that get left over from that I need to figure out what to do with. I have a variety of jean stuff that's come through. I have some like plushy Sherpa stuff. Obviously I have a bunch of cotton fabric. A couple like faux suede stuff, some like stretchy spandexy stuff. So if you have suggestions on like how to organize it and then how to use some of it up, so like giving me specific patterns, not necessarily be like you should make this, but like giving me specific patterns to use small use small quantities of fabric that would be fairly easy to sew, because I am not an advanced sewer, I guess is what I would say. I've done some stuff, right? So I have made, years ago I did some clothing sewing, and then more recently I made like a small bag. I've made a couple of like canvas style bags for people, pillows, like easy straight line kind of sewing. I've done a portion of that, but anything that's a little bit more advanced, I haven't done a ton of. So if you have suggestions, feel free to leave a comment below. Otherwise, sorry, this has like literally no knitting content. There's no knitting. There was one thing of yarn. Yee. And instead was me talking about moving. Yeah. So, more of a life update than an actual knitting podcast video. But if you enjoyed it, or you would like to see me do some of these things potentially, feel free to like or subscribe. Otherwise, have a great day. It's looking nice outside. It looks gray outside, but it's not snowing or too cold. So enjoy your day. I'm going to go back to unpacking. Bye.